I welcome you all to MOOC's course entitled Community Engagement and Social Responsibility. I will be discussing Unit 3 today. It deals with rural development programs, implications, and management. This unit has two modules. The first module is about rural development programs and rural institutions. Module 1, Part 2. In second part of module 1, we will be studying about objectives of rural development programs and development avenues in rural areas. In the previous part of the module, we studied about conceptual framework of rural development plan. Next, which I have, this slide already talks about certain points which I have discussed in the previous slide. One of the points is like, for example, soil erosion. So if you have soil erosion and that erodes the topmost layer of the soil, so that becomes problematic. So planting of trees can be done to avoid that. And in case of drought, uh, uh, rainwater harvesting can be done. So when you have good conditions, the water can be conserved and that water can be used to mitigate the effects of drought during the time of drought. So another point is that when we have floods or we have a system which is not a clean ecosystem, in that case, uh, the specifically villages, they face that they carry a lot of disease burden, and the disease burden is because of unhygienic condition and uh, water non-availability of water or dirty water which is available. So decreasing the disease burden is important, and that can be done again by chalking out a plan, and these plans are made by the bodies, the rural development programs, the bodies which are there, they make such plans. Then last point which I would like to make here is conservation of the biodiversity, the flora, the fauna which you have in villages. They should be, it is not that you cultivate or you bring up something and then you forget about it. You have to conserve your vegetation, your biodiversity, because ultimately the entire village members are dependent on the flora, the fauna, the vegetation, the biodiversity for their livelihood. So that is important that you conserve that, and at the same time you conserve the productive resources such as fibers, dyes, oils, resins, shelter inputs, etc. Now, having said this, I would like to move to the objectives of rural development programs. There are many programs running in India, but what are the objectives? Primarily, the objectives are fourfold. The first objective talks about to develop farm, home, public service, and village community. So the focus is on development of the village community. So the plan should be such which helps it. Second is that the program should be such that not only crops grow and improve, but the cattle, the animals which are there living in rural areas should also be healthy and should also be in a good condition. Third objective is to improve the health condition and the education condition of the people residing in villages. And fourthly is to improve village communication. Now, village communication, I refer to ICT, that is information communication technology. So that villages are connected with cities, towns, not only in terms of information flow, but also markets, because rural areas, they have ready markets and they can sell their products into the cities. So they have ready markets there, and that can be done only through ICT. So efficiency will prevail. So these are the four objectives which I've just mentioned of rural development program: to develop the community, to develop cattle, crops, to improve the health and education condition, and also to improve the village communication. Now, this figure 2 shows the development avenues in the rural areas. That means what are the different avenues in which development has to be done. So there are 5 in number. First is infrastructure. So when we talk about infrastructure, it talks about transportation, that is connecting villages to cities, to other villages and to towns. So connectivity by roads,
by railways so that not only people travel but also the resources they travel from one village to the other village. So development of infrastructure should be one of the prime priorities of the developmental programs. The second avenue is technology. Now, technology basically here I mean labor intensive technology or capital intensive technology. So, capital intensive technology talks about more of capital and less labor, while labor intensive technology talks about more of labor input as compared to capital. So, when we talk about villages, then the technology which we are talking about is use of more labor intensive technology to generate output. So in that case, you have cottage industries there or development of such industries, farm industries and non-farm industries so that they can come up with the products and the innovative products which have value and they can be sold into the market. The third avenue is health. As we know that health is an important aspect, and if a person is sick or unhealthy, he will not be able to work and contribute. Therefore, what needs to be taken care of is all the developmental programs. Most of the programs focus on health issues of the villagers. That how their health can be fine, how the mortality rates can be reduced, how the fertility rates can be made constant, so that they can contribute not only economically but also socially to the village community and yes, of course, to the state and then to the country. Another avenue is education. Education, we all know that Indian economy, as we all know, is focusing on social sector. And social sector means health and education. And education here means skilling. So therefore, a person should be educated here. All the programs focus not only on primary education, but also on the skill education, I mean the adult education, so that on one hand, the young generation and children, they get access to education, they can read, they can write, they become literate so that nobody takes them for granted. And on the other hand, we have adult education also, the programs cater to that aspect also so that they can be independent. The last avenue which the developmental programs focus is the economy. Now, what do I mean by economy? Economy caters to three different aspects: production, distribution, and consumption. Can you think of an economy where production is there but no distribution? How consumption will take place? So, therefore, whatever that is being produced has to be distributed not only in the village, in the adjacent village, among different cities which can be connected and also uh, consumed. So the cycle of production, consumption, distribution, when works efficiently, only then we can say that the rural economy is growing. Another aspect, a point which I would like to make here is that people living in village, they migrate to cities. Why? Because there are lack of job opportunities and they want to earn. So why not make village economy self-reliant? Why can't they work? So these aspects actually talk about that how the developmental programs can cater to these several avenues and can improve the economic and social condition of the residents of villages.
In this part, we studied about objectives of rural development programs and development avenues in rural areas. In the next part, we will study about developmental avenues in rural areas and NABARD.
Thank you.